Okay, let's continue the same program here to understand the another mode of inheritance. This time we're going to discuss about the private mode of inheritance. So let's rename the file here, make it demo2, by which our previous code will not be overlapped here. Demo2 inheritance types. So as demo2 we're going to discuss about the private mode of inheritance. Okay, so let's make some comment here. We're going to discuss about private mode of inheritance. Okay, so now what are you going to do? We're going to start from the scratch here again. Let's make the data member as public at the very beginning. Okay, and make this change. We're going to make the inheritance mode here private. If we did not write anything, by default it will be private. So here you can make some comment. By default mode of inheritance is private. Okay, so if you wish to write private mode, you can still do. If you do not want to write, still it is remain as private mode of inheritance. Okay, so according to the theory that we have discussed in the last lecture, what we can assume here, that m underscore a is public in base class. So here we can see it is public in base class, and while you inherit, m underscore a will become what? Here we can write something, na? Yes, m underscore a will become private data member of derived, private data member of derived class. So now it is private for this class, and it is remain public for base class. Okay. So next what we try to do, we are not going to do anything with the constructor. We remain the same constructor here. We are going to initialize it, and here we try to access the data member m underscore a. So be careful. We should do not make the thing complex here. Here we are accessing m underscore a. So if we inherit something, it is available here. M underscore a is public in base class. So by writing this m underscore a, we are accessing the base part of the derived object. Okay, because m underscore a is available in the base part of the derived object. A derived object has two parts, base part and its own part. So we are accessing the base part of the derived object. So by this line there will be no issue. So let's check, execute the code. Let's check if there any issue or not. So we are getting 20 as our previous example also. Now let's do something here. Private data member of the derived class. Let's try to access it. Obj dot m underscore a. We try to access it. It is remain public in base, but obj is the object of derived class. We try to access it from the derived class. Let's see. We try to assign this value here. Will it working or not? So see, it is what kind of error it is saying? It is saying m underscore a, which is belongs to class A, is inaccessible. Why? Because we are using here derived class object, and inside the derived class, due to the private inheritance, m underscore a is a private data member. So we cannot access it outside of the class using derived class object. But can we do this thing? Suppose we are creating an object of base class. Okay. Now can we do this thing? Here A is what? A is an object of base class, and we try to access the public data member of the base class. Although we are doing private, yes, we are doing private inheritance. Okay. So let's check this. Now there will be no issue. Why? Because we are accessing now from the base class object. There is a no relation with the derived class object here. No relation. I have no idea that this class is further inherited or not. Okay. So I hope this idea is clear. Then if we make a class, or if we do inheritance is private, public data member of the base class will become private data member to the derived class. Okay, so idea is clear. So here we can make some comment. It will get access from base class object. Okay, so this is about the private. If we want to make more change, if we make it private here, okay, so let's check this thing. Now I'm changing this public data member in the base class as private, and we are using private mode of inheritance. So now m underscore a itself is private in base class. So this line will raise an error now, because private data member we cannot access outside of the class. Yes, it's raising the error here because of this. Okay, so let's look at the error here. This every here is the error because m underscore a is private. Okay, so if we just remove this line, if we put this line in comment, or what you can write here, what you can write, m underscore a is private to base class, not accessible. Okay, so now if we put this thing in a comment, then what is the issue? It is showing here it is private. Okay, and we are inheriting as a private way. So when we try to access m underscore a from the derived class, so what will be the issue? Issue is this thing: private members are not accessible. Okay, private members of base class are not accessible. Okay, so here is the error. This is all about your private inheritance. So now let's change this. Now let's make it protected. Okay, m underscore a is protected, and we are strict with the private mode of inheritance. Now let's compile it. So here there is no error. The reason is that protected data member can be accessed by its own class, and then its friend class and its child class. Okay, so here it is become m underscore a will become private data member, although it is protected in base class. Okay, so protected and private we cannot access it outside of the class. So m underscore a is private. No, not private. It is protected. Protected to base class, so it is not allowed. So error. Okay, so I hope your private mode of inheritance is clear.